Welcome to Fire and by the Fire, where we're going through the book of Acts, verse by verse, because the book of Acts is really our only and best example of what it'll be like to actually be the church. Not to go to church, but to actually be the church. Ever since this beginning of this church, as soon as really government took it over, in the Roman Empire, it kind of changed into something that resembles what we see today. Big giant buildings, somebody in charge up there preaching all the time. And all really we are to do is to show up once a week, listen to them talk, contribute financially, and go home. And to us, that's what good Christianity is. But in the book of Acts, it's a totally different thing. And we've been seeing lately, since they've begun as the church to go out and do the business of Jesus Christ, everywhere they go, they face persecution, beatings, jail, threats of death. And not from the commoner, and not from Rome, from the religious people. And I think it's incredibly important as we see this, that you understand that in the end times, there'll be the church, which will be really a part of the beast system and worshiping the Antichrist. They'll call themselves Christians, but that's not what they'll be. And then there'll be this other group of people, the saints, the remnant, who are saying, no, that is not Jesus. You are doing a terrible abomination. And those people will be hunted by those people. So if you're actually doing the business of Jesus Christ, you're going to be hated and hunted by the religious elect. That's what it looks like, ladies and gentlemen. And we're at this place where we even see the exact same thing happening today, where the religious people in chapter 6 are neglecting the widows. So through the Holy Spirit, they select some disciples to tend to the matter of the widows. Since the church isn't doing it, the people on the street will do it. Similar to what we see now. The church isn't doing it, so people on the street are doing it. People that actually are the remnant. But through the Holy Spirit, they select Stephen, and Stephen is going to play a huge role in what we're about to talk about today. So we're just going to pick it up where we left off, Acts 6, starting 8. And Stephen, full of the faith and power, did great wonders and signs among the people. Then there arose some of what is called the synagogue of the freedom, Cyrenians, Alexandrians, and those from Cilicia and Asia, disputing with Stephen. And they were not able to resist the wisdom and the spirit by which he spoke. Then they secretly induced men to say, we have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and God. All right, I'm going to pause there because that's what's happening. I mean, you see it? Do you see it? Think about it. Rome wasn't after Jesus. The common man was not after Jesus. It was the high priest of the temple. One night, and we'll see, we're also going through the book of Matthew verse by verse. I'm going to put the link here. I highly recommend you join us. But there's a moment in time where they all meet at the high priest's house and they seek to conspire against him to kill him. Then they sought to conspire against Peter and his companions just a moment before this. And now they're conspiring to kill Stephen. Not Rome, not the common man, the synagogue. The synagogue is conspiring against him to lie and accuse him of blasphemous words. Let's keep going. And they stirred up the people and the elders and the scribes, and they came upon him, seized him, and brought him to the council. They also set up false witnesses who said, this man does not cease to speak blasphemous words against this holy place and the law. For we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth will destroy this place and change the customs which Moses delivered to us. And all who sat in the council, looking steadfastly at him, saw his face as the face of an angel. All right, I'm going to pause there for a second, because there's kind of a natural phenomenon that whenever somebody is filled with the Spirit, they kind of have a glow around them. That's where the concept of the halo came from. But people get it. Jesus had it. The apostles had it. Now Stephen has it. And here what you have is you have a man. Now let's be very clear. He's tending to the widows. So he's tending to the widows and speaking of the good things of the Lord. And because they can't argue with him successfully, because you can't, he's filled with the Spirit. You're not going to win against the Spirit. And you're also not going to win when somebody's speaking the truth, and you can't really argue against the truth. So what do? They seek to seize him, to conspire against him, to lie about him. Yet here he is, he's filled with the Holy Spirit, literally, looking like an angel. I just think it's incredibly important that we wake up. I'm gonna get a little deeper into what Stephen says here in the next episode, because it's very significant, and I think it's important we break apart every piece of it. Because what Stephen is about to do is that moment in time that Jesus said, when they drag you into council, don't worry about what you're going to say. The Holy Spirit will speak through you and tell you what to say. And what's about to happen is, through the Holy Spirit, Stephen is just going to essentially open his mouth and have air come in and out and vibrate his voice box. And the Holy Spirit is going to do all the rest of the work. And it's not going to go well. It never does. When you are dragged in front of the council, this is the moment in time Jesus is talking about. And there will be a day where we will be dragged in front of council, because there'll be a day that if you're doing what Stephen is doing, the same thing will happen. It'll be the same thing. You'll be dragged in front of a council. They'll tell you that, they'll have false witnesses against you, saying that you've been speaking blasphemous words. And then you will be given a moment to speak. And for many people, according to the book of Revelation, and we're also going through that. I'll put the link there. I recommend you go through that as well. But many will have their head taken from them for that thing. There's actually a crown. There is literally a crown in heaven that you'll receive for doing what Stephen is about to do. And there's only 7 crowns you can receive. And having the crown of martyrdom, like what Stephen's about to do, why? Because he spoke the truth through the Holy Spirit, and it cost him his life. Why? Because he was tending to the widows. I've said this many times that, in other videos, but in the end times, there's, Jesus tells us to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, take care of the widows and orphans, visit the prisoners, the sick. And in the end times, there's going to be a lot of all of that stuff. A lot of all that stuff. And here Stephen is tending to that, and the religious figure sees him, and now they're dragging him in front of a council, just like will happen to many of us in the end times. So I think it's important to understand that this is how it plays out. Jesus even said that even the elect will be deceived. That's these guys. Just like he said, forgive them, Father. They do not know what they're doing. Like, they have no clue what they're doing. They don't even know. They're thinking they're doing what's right, and they're angry at you for, how could you preach against the Antichrist? How could you do that? Off with your head. That's how it plays out. So, anyhow, continue to join us. We're going to keep digging. We'll be going through the book of Acts every Wednesday and Thursday night at 7. So thanks for joining us. And we'll just keep on digging.